Hey guys, hey Healdsburg, Skip Brand here. I should be actually from home, but we had a last minute customer, so I'm here at the worldwide headquarters of Healdsburg Running Company, and just wanted to tell you before we got started a little bit of how I got here. Um, I started my career as a teacher or an instructor at Arizona State University. And out of all things, despite a 6 minute late start, taught computer science and enjoyed a career at Arizona State. And then what was really fun is thanks to the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. I moved to Silicon Valley and did 20 years of internet startups. In that meantime, though, one of my colleagues was from Healdsburg. So I've had a home for about 15 years now. I'm on Sherman and Prince, or Sherman, near Sherman and Center Street there. And sure enough, about 5 blocks from the store. And not only was I an educator, but an internet entrepreneur, but always throughout my whole life, lifelong runner. And my thoughts were if I was going to get a chance to get to a small farm town again. I'm a Midwest farm town called Redbud, Illinois. But sure enough, here in Healdsburg, it's much better to be really enjoying wine as our top crop. But where I'm from, it's more corn. But sure enough, I love the atmosphere of farming and the culture of small towns, and what Healdsburg didn't have. And for about 9 years, I would go around to all my friends in Healdsburg and I would tell them I'm going to open a running store. I believe Healdsburg would be America's fittest small town. And so for 9 years, I would tell Will Seppi, Jason Pasalakwa, anybody who would listen to me, that I wanted to retire from Silicon Valley, move up full time to Healdsburg, and do a running store. And everybody's like, no one runs. It would never work. And so after about 9 years of telling everybody that's what I was going to do, they just got tired of hearing it and said, hey, why don't you try it? So I'm now, our little store has a running community in many, just if you wanted to count how big they are, we're fortunate we have on an email newsletter a little over 7,000 folks. And at our turkey trot, we always get to check in on that every year. A little more than 2,000 did that. So sure enough, Healdsburg's got a great running community. And one way that I'm able, and I have a staff of 13 part-timers that are all part of the community, and we're able to give back to the community through community runs. And we run on Tuesday for Ladies' Night. We run Thursday for Family Night, or everyone. And then we run on Saturday on the trails. And thanks to Mark and the team at the city, now that our trails are open. And sure enough, we always run on full moon. And last but not least, always the last Tuesday of the month, we have what's called a pub run. But the running community in Healdsburg is growing and continues to grow. And what I do like, I love what I see. It's a very challenging, tough time to one, be in business, or two, all of us are finding shelter in place tough. But I would say the silver lining about the Healdsburg community is whether they like it or not, they're becoming a walking community. There's a lot more folks out walking than I've ever seen before, and a running community. And so the community continues to grow, and it's thanks to community services, Mark and the team with youth running and others that we just enjoy, just a really, really fun community. And one thing I would just tell you about Healdsburg and how you sort of start these businesses and isn't how you end them or isn't how you continue is every time we have a new member of the running community, they show up for a run, our group changes. And so the second aspect of Healdsburg Running Company and myself has been charity. And our first hire, a really amazing athlete, we were so happy to have Sarah Sumpner come along. And Sarah was our first hire, and she said, Skip, I'd like to work. I've been running from Cloverdale all the way to Healdsburg High throughout my life and back. So she's running 14 miles a day. She's like, I've always wanted to have a work in a store or have a running store. Sure enough, the story has a very bright ending to it, but Sarah sadly became ill, but her spirit lives on with all of us and Sarah, and she was not only the first hire, but she helped us really make sure more than half of what we do as a running store and more than half of what I get to do is serve the community through charity, whether it's Live Like Drew. I think just this last Tuesday on our pub run, all of you, and it's not charity that the store does, it's the charity that you all do by taking part. We did a amazing pub run with live music virtually, just like we're doing here in Facebook Live. For Speed of Sound, who played, they were awesome. For Elephant in the Room, and we were able to in just a short hour, thanks to you all, and we were able to do $500 to help raise for the Elephant in the Room bartenders and KC. So the town, whether it's high school scholarships, whether it's raising for Sarah to put a water fountain for her, or helping with Live Like Drew, the town is very, very charitable. And one way is a community store to get more ingrained in the community is to give back way more than we get. And so the running community that we have here in Healdsburg is very charitable. And last but not least, the reason I'm here in the store is we're not accustomed to being an online store, but when this happened just a little over a month or so ago, we now moved online for all our logo wear, all of our gear, and so our number one competitor in Healdsburg, and we're doing quite well thanks to all of you customers, is Jeff Bezos. So we're hoping to see Jeff Bezos and Amazon delivering less running shoes and gear in Healdsburg. But those are what we call the 3 C's of Healdsburg Running Company. The run community, or just forming a community, and charity work. And last but not least, just a little bit of commerce. And now a lot of that commerce is online. But as a lifelong runner, just I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing out there. And it's not only people walking and running, but we call it boat culture. So when you're a car, you don't wave at anybody. But when you're on a motorcycle or a boat, you always kind of down low if you're a motorcycle, or a little high wave on your boat. But the community here in Healdsburg over the last 30 to 45 days of everyone's waving each other, beginning to say hi to their neighbors, and nicely getting out for a run. And so it's more important for us to do things virtually just as much as we do things physically. So we haven't stopped our ladies' night. Last week was a book club, and an Olympian called in for our little ladies' night, Deanna Castor. This last Thursday, and Thursday coming up, we're doing a nice Cinco de Mayo event where you'll actually do Fitch and then come back and have a nice Mexican beer and zoom in with everyone. And even fun things we're doing as a community virtually is this full moon. We normally run in full moon at Lake Sonoma. This full moon, it's really fun. We'll actually have everyone camp in their own backyard. And those kids and family members who have the best camp will win thanks to a REI gift certificate. And those with the worst camp will actually do that. But yeah, so what I would say is this community is definitely really resilient. Soon, my belief, if we aren't already, by time more trails and more paths are put together by Mark and his crew at Community Services, we will not only have the most amount of trails in the smallest town, but should be well on our way to be the fittest small town in the U.S. And it's not just the young folks. We are just blessed to see a senior community that is out walking and very active in the town. So we're spoiled. But guys, if you have any questions, or Mark, you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. But yeah, I'm 15-year veteran living here with a house in Healdsburg, a 5-year-old company. And thanks to a great community, we have 13 staff members. Of those 13 kids, and they all look like everybody from the community, we're able to keep the staff paid. They're all busy working from home now. And we're not doing well, but we're doing okay enough to just be able to continue to pay them. So with that, before I go any further, and I'm here in the store, we don't have great beer because it is a running store, but I do have a Pabst. I'll have a little salute and thank you all out there for supporting us. Thank you.
Hey, Skip. First of all, this is Mark Phoenix from Healdsburg Community Services. First of all, Skip, thank you so much for joining us tonight on our next edition of Live from Home. It's great to have your positive attitude and your enthusiastic community advocacy. That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about, you and I actually grew up in the same area. I grew up in that little town of Vandalia, Illinois. You grew up in Redbud.
Redbud,
It happens
Illinois.
to be,
It makes
yeah, it
Vandalia
happens
seem
to be.
big, by the way.
Did you ever go to the Wartburg Inn in Wartburg?
Yes, I have, and you only go to Wartburg. Well, one, there are a little bar and there is an inn, so we called it from my little small farm town. We would take old Jeeps. It was a big deal, and you would see if you could get these Jeeps to run long enough to get all the way to the Wartburg Inn. If you were kids, you were in the back of the Jeep with mom and dad. And the neat thing about it is mom and dad would then get a bite to eat with you at the Wartburg Inn. The family, this tells you a little bit about my parents. She's not going to be happy, my mom, about it. But the parents stayed at the Wartburg Inn, and the reason the kids loved it is we stayed in the Jeeps. So we got to wreak a little havoc in the town. And it was just, those little towns remind me a lot of what we have here in Healdsburg, our Guerneville, or also what we have in amazing Geyserville. I mean, it's just places that are similar in their feel and folksy localness, but at the same time, I'd say it's much better to have grapes than it is to have corn. Knee high in July is not celebrated the same as harvest, that's for sure.
And it certainly is flat there. So a little factoid for you.
Yes.
My sister-in-law's parents owned the Wartburg Inn.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
just a little fact.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, while we're
So tell
talking,
us a little bit.
go ahead.
Tell us a little bit about what are you and your family doing? What are you doing to stay connected in the community? You obviously have your entire running world that you're
Yeah.
working with, but what else are you doing to stay connected?
Well, I'd say a couple things. One, Holly is a big fan, and thankfully, she's a good cook. But the same thing, we just are just enjoying, and we call it Neighbors Helping Neighbors. It's a program we just started to really highlight when our neighbor Dustin said, "Hey, I'm going to go do to go food. Skip, would you do our first post and get the word out?" So one thing we're connecting with is one, a lot of our same neighbors, but doing so by helping them, by getting a to-go meal. But it's the fun notes that are inside your to-go meal of keep running, or hey, I can't believe you're having 4 desserts or 5 desserts from Chalkboard. By the way, desserts are $5 at Chalkboard. You can get 5 of them for a meal for $20. But I would say one way we're able to stay connected is, obviously getting amazing food to go. I don't want to disparage the Wartburg Inn, but maybe we'd be beating the frog legs at the Wartburg Inn tonight. But the other thing that's neat is it's the communities that have, we started delivering coffee. Holly just woke me, and we delivered coffee to our hospital. And it was during our run on Saturday. We do donut holes, so we brought them donut holes and coffee. And from that, we do, we call it healthcare heroes, and our shoe brands offer out shoes to our healthcare workers. So we've never been more in touch with our healthcare workers, not because we're just providing free shoes, but we learn what year they graduated, Healdsburg High in '88. We learn more things about them. So I think when you're virtual, you get a chance. This is a little one way today, but you get a chance to really know more about people than one thing you know about them. And Holly's able to do that with me, which is great. And we don't open till 10, and we close. It's all mostly virtual and to go and curbside. But one thing I get to do, and I'm spoiled, is I get to deliver shoes to people's doorsteps. And it's so fun. I mean, obviously we're socially distancing, but it's just so fun to see where some of our folks live. And I think we're able to do that after the store closes, whether it's Holly and I walking around and seeing neighbors, or in the morning, just seeing how lively the town is, it's a blast to see, and everyone's
That's awesome.
super
That's
friendly.
awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, parks were closed for a while
Yes.
with this health order, and tell tell us how you think parks fit into the overall, health of Californians, of Healdsburg
Well, I mean,
folks.
we're spoiled, right? I truly believe, and this is what, I don't even, Mark, if you and I talked much about it, but I got to teach. I was teaching at ASU, but you get to teach everybody at ASU. It's hot in the summer. It goes to Boulder to teach summer school. So Boulder was always known as this amazing fit city, but also had just unbelievable parks. Everywhere you went, they had amazing parks. And I got to sort of, once we opened the store, I said to the Boulder mayor there, because I'd at least known him from school and things, and a lot of the athletes there, and said, hey, our little town of a little over 10,000 will end up having more trails and more parks runnable from my front door than even Boulder. And they're a 100,000 person city. We're literally at 10. So we're spoiled. It's not only Fitch Mountain, which, by the way, if you run up Fitch, you can run anything. I run 100-mile races with literally the training of that 1.5 miles up Fitch is as tough as anything you can get. It's a tough little run. But whether it's Badger Park or the river or even the parks in general, I mean, we're so lucky to be near Lake Sonoma that's not so busy, but actually beautiful. We're able to enjoy Sugarloaf Ridge. We're able to enjoy Armstrong Woods. I mean, I think the asset of Sonoma County, unlike Napa or Marin, is our amazing parks and trails. And our leaders here want you to come visit the park. I mean, we have a park in Jenner that the park rangers get a bonus at the Wildlands Preserve by the more people that visit. Many times people believe if you're going to a park, they tell you what not to do and this, that, and the other. All over Sonoma County, they welcome you to come out. And I believe that sunshine, air, and trails are really what's unique about Healdsburg and unique about particularly Sonoma County. But forget even the trails you have or the trails we have access to. Some of the best trails are just out the back door. So when you talk to our winemakers or you talk to those who are working out of the field, some of the best trails are right through the vineyards. And so private trails are amazing out here as well. And if you find someone who's a winemaker and or someone that you know and like, they'll tell you a little special favorite one they have. So we are just so blessed to have what we have. And we have leaders like yourself and others that have put good work in. Our trails are in great shape.
So, good news coming in the future on that. The Foss Creek Pathway extension that will continue from where the skate park is up to Grove Street is currently still on track to be built. And so, I think, based on the last report I received, that would actually move forward this year, I think, if they can get it out to bid. Certainly, if not this year, it's going to be next year. So that pathway, which is extremely popular right now, is going to continue to get built and to extend and make that great walking opportunity.
Well,
So,
and when
not everybody.
if you
Go
think
ahead.
about that, just to make sure everybody knows how far that is, we literally from the store run to the bridge on the path. That gets you a mile. When you then run on our amazing path all the way up to the end of the path now on Grove, gets you another mile. By the time you run it back, you're getting a perfect 5K, all lit up, all very, very safe, all amazing. And it's for walkers, runners, bikes, everything. And it's only going to get bigger as it connects to Parkland Farms and the new trails at Saggio Hills. If it connects over to Fitch and around to Badger, we're literally looking at, and it's pretty easy math, you can correct me, Mark, but we're almost looking at a half marathon of path and perfectly refined trails in a town of 10,000. That puts us 3 miles more than Boulder, Colorado. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's in
That's
our
amazing.
riverfront, which you and the county have done a great job. As that riverfront is open there, I mean, Del Rio is beautiful right there. It's awesome. We have more coastline, 45 miles that we all talk about on the ocean coast, but there's a lot of coastline in the Russian River, and it's a delight to be out there.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So, we before actually through both the Kincaid fire and now the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been working on this park planning, river access, and connectivity master plan. And so I wanted folks to know that that planning process will still continue. We've taken a little bit of a break as we've had to readjust due to the COVID-19 and the restrictions, but we're going to be back on that. And so I think it'll be exciting for the community as we look towards the future.
Yeah.
That there'll be new opportunities. The Montage Park will be constructed. There'll be redevelopment in Badger Park. There'll be new opportunities to access the river. And then what I think is probably the most exciting of all this planning process is how we connect everything together.
Yeah.
How do we make it easier for you to get from Parkland Farms down to the south side of town? And that's a pretty cool planning process. So, Skip, one question for you
Yes.
is, not everyone is a runner, right? We are a very diverse population. We have, about 28% of our community is 55 or better. And so what do you have, what kind of suggestions do you have for people who are a little bit older and who may not be able to run? What are their options to get that exercise and be outdoors and be active?
Yeah, we have a group that gets together on Wednesdays. It was put together by Jeff Galloway, who's a former Olympian, 76 years old. And it's a walking group, and sometimes they do a little bit of run walk. But this is a known fact we sometimes no one knows. I actually am for one of the brands called Hoka. I'm the top 25 store for them with only one door. Most others are big stores, have multiple doors. And the reason I am is they have a walking shoe. And so we're spoiled. We have not only an aging community, but an aging community that's pretty fit. And mostly because they walk. If you've seen more people that I see walking around Fitch and up and over as well. But we have a really, really good walking group. And those folks that are actually walking, that's as good for the hips and knees as anything. We now have technology that makes a shoe that's super light and the most bouncy. It's like running on clouds or marshmallows. So the idea is, folks are walking because they want to keep up with the grandkids. They want to get out, and they just want to live the fullest life they can in town. And walking happens to be, of the 2,000 folks that did the turkey trot, it was over 1,000 walking, mostly with their kids, with their dogs, and costumes. That's the great thing about a running store is it's just as much a walking store, but it doesn't sound as cool if it's Healdsburg Walking Company.
But just as valuable, right? Just
Oh
as
no,
valuable.
most definitely. And every runner walks at some point, that's for sure. And the nice thing about Fitch is more people walk up it and run down it. So anybody who says they're a Fitch Mountain runner, it's not that easy to run up it. The other thing that's unique about the community that's healthy is we have a great cycling community. So the crossover between cyclists and the crossover with runners, we see as many cyclists coming in for nutrition and everything and then headed down to our friends at Spoke Folk. We're just an active, more older adult community, and that activity is so we can keep up with the grandkids or keep up with the kids or stay healthy. And that's why I also think we're so good. The farmers market today was booming. I don't know if you went, Mark. But
I did. It was amazing.
People are thinking, I think we're going to come out of this thinking about our health more. We're going to walk more. We'll run more. Eat. I think instead of bypass your Amazon food being delivered to you, hit the farmer's market more. I think more people will be interested in shopping local. I think there's some real silver lining to some really tough things that we're facing. But I think the town of Healdsburg's always been resilient thanks to fires and being farmers, right? Farmers are resilient. If the weather's not good, there's not enough rain, we're really good. I think even with this, we'll see a lot more resiliency and the good stuff's going to come forward. Yes, there's a lot of people
For
not
sure.
working, a lot of people not making money, But I think the creativity of the town, our caring, our charity work will take care of each other. I think that's always been unique about Healdsburg. And I think that's why when you see somebody at Parkland Farms and Barbary Park, I mean, they're all waving each other. If a dog's lost, they help find the dog and find its owner. This is a great place to live, and it's only going to get better.
That's right. That's right. So one of the amenities I think that people have enjoyed was the new walking track at the high school, the new track.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
we have the city has a great partnership with Healdsburg Unified School District. And so through that partnership, we have a joint facilities use agreement that gives the community access to use their school facilities during certain times. And I've been having conversations with the district representative, Chris Banning Hoovel.
Yeah, he's awesome, by the way.
And Rob, yeah, he's great. And Rob Smith. And they are working, if it's not open yet, it will be reopened soon on a regular basis. And I know that walking track is important for folks who maybe can't do the more strenuous trails and things like that. So stay tuned to our Facebook page and our other social media information for when that happens. Again, it may have happened already. If not, it'll be coming very soon. He is committed to getting the walking track back open. So that's a great thing.
And Mark, what's so good about that is the Healdsburg Youth Running Club is out there on Thursdays and Saturdays, and the junior high. Amy Anderson, who works here, also coaches the Healdsburg Junior High. It's a great facility, not just for the high school, but for the grade school kids and everybody to come out. What's also neat around the track is if you were an older adult and wanted to meet a coach that would help you do a workout or with your nutrition, it's not all stemming from you and I. There's a really vibrant fitness community, whether it's our gyms, our yoga, folks at Yoga on Center, now Daily Method. I mean, we just are so spoiled of the amount of public-private partnerships that are out there to keep everybody moving and keep everybody healthy. That's why I don't feel I'm bragging anything about what we're doing just in running and walking, but I truly believe we will be in a model city of what does America's fittest small town look like, and I believe it looks like Healdsburg.
Yeah, I agree. It's just an amazing place. Hey, do you want to talk a little bit about the vision for the Sarah Sumter rest station on the Foss Creek Pathway, kind of what you're working on?
Yeah, I only mentioned her briefly because Sara Run for Stump was really, when you have something that happens so terrible, and we have in our town many things on individual levels and others, many of the community tries to think of, hey, what can we do positive for this? And so Sarah, not only an incredible person, great runner, but really her mom, everybody sort of feels like Healdsburg. What we get the opportunity is raise funds to put a water station, and I always call it next to Trio, but it's just at the very end. The path will extend from the skate park and now go, instead of going on to Grove, it will continue just right towards Trio, right next to the railroad tracks. We'll have an amazing shelter there. It's a tough spot because it's right there at Dry Creek where the crossing will be. So you'll have a nice little spot for a water fountain, shelter, dog water, shade. And what we're excited to do is name that after Sarah Sumter, and that with the help of the Rotary, Healdsburg Running Company, you, Mark, and others will commission that. And it just will be a tribute not just to Sarah, but to Healdsburg, but a great spot to ponder before you go for another half mile on the path. You get water, you make sure you're safe, and it's just going to be a really fun opportunity where the art will be just as much the focus as the water, as the station, as its functionality. And so that's where I'm excited with Judy Voigt and others involved. We'll have a local artist put a sculpture there, and I think it's things like that that involve everybody. And I think that's going to be fun to see its fruition as the trail continues. But, that's exactly 1 mile away. What a perfect opportunity to have water for the kids and the dogs and everybody at that spot.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great vision. There'll be a lot more information coming out about that
Yes.
in the near future. So, we're at a point in time, right? It's been about 6 weeks, and people have kind of been, they've been in shelter in place, and there's going to be some loosening of restrictions as we move forward. There won't be the opportunity, at least in the near future, to get together in these big groups and things like that. So, Skip, as you look ahead, kind of to wrap things up, how do you think people can stay positive? Because it is easy to get caught up and not being able to do things that you have traditionally done. Any words of advice for our community as we look to the next probably 6 to 9, maybe 12 months?
Yeah.
It being different.
Well, remember, when you, well, especially, we don't even call Healdsburg Running Company a company, we just call it a club. So it's more about the camaraderie and people helping each other and really feeling a part of something. So you can do that just as much online or do that supporting each other when you see their Instagram that they just finished a run. These high fives and cowbells will be a little bit more virtual. But the opportunities to make sure you're motivated, you get your cup of coffee and you get out the door and you put your shoes on. That's all, and you get to see your neighbor when you do that. So I don't believe, whether you have 2,000 people gathering together, exactly together, which wouldn't be healthy and wouldn't be smart, even with face coverings, but you'll able to do it virtually. So, for example, we kicked off today. We joined with, it's called the Great Virtual Race Across Tennessee. So there's well over a couple hundred folks in the community here. And it's not running, it's walking too, who for the next 123 days will walk or run 5 miles a day. Now, if they miss a day, they have to do a little bit more miles. But the excitement that everybody had of one finding out about honky tonks in a state we don't even know that well, Tennessee, or some of the clubs or the dance halls or others, we're doing this work virtually, but the high fives are now a little bit online, or your friend said, hey, I didn't see you log your miles, or you didn't get your walk in. It's that same check in that you're able to do, and we're lucky to have tools like we have, whether it's our laptops and online or the community resources we have. So I think things will change, but they won't. Like a full moon's now a virtual campout. That's fun with a little bit of Zoom on it. Or, this Tuesday, it's reading a book about running and meeting with the author and talking about it after your run, but you ran on your own. So I think the idea is things will change, but even though something's different, it doesn't mean it's not good. And I think that's why Healdsburg is going to be fun to live in. We're very good at being resilient and being creative. And some of the new businesses that kids come up with and others come up with after sheltering in place will change. I mean, this is what I like. Every new person that moves to Healdsburg or every new person that runs with us, that's an opportunity for us to change. One new person can add a whole bunch of new and neat ideas. And I think that's what this is going to do. And I think that's how gatherings may be more virtual, or they may be more one-on-one or one-on-five folks, but we're still going to be encouraging people to get out and ride their bike and get out for a walk. And that, I think that's why it's really important to take care of our healthcare heroes. We did buffs for bartenders. Bartenders aren't working, so a great time to help them. I think we'll find new ways to connect. And those new ways, even though we may miss a high five or a hug, we'll figure that out.
That's awesome. And we're going to look, I know as community services, we're going to look at our business community to be kind of leaders and help us. I think you're very innovative. Government tends to be a little slower, and businesses can be a little more nimble and do things differently. So looking forward to continuing working closely together. Skip, any last words for our community? Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I guess I would do, I have on my head a Lake Sonoma hat. So thanks to all of the work way before me that was done, this race is the nation's best trail run that did not happen in April. But just so everybody in the community understands why these pro athletes and all these runners love coming to the town, it was for everything we talked about, Mark. These folks couldn't afford, many of them, our hotels. Some can, some can't. And they stay with host families. And it is that hospitality that Healdsburg gives to not only our neighbors or those in need, but even some folks don't like the word tourist. I call them uh, sometimes friends a little bit. But our runner friends, the reason they come for this race and come in town is to see some of the people they've met in town and some of the characters. And I think many of the characters, whether it's what Cousteau does with his Sunday brunches or the amazing work at my neighbor just across the way, Dustin does, or how hard Ari's working here, or our Russian River Tea Company. I think you're going to see the best of entrepreneurs and the best of community members. And I think the best of everything is lying ahead. Even if you're not doing something like the Lake Sonoma race, everybody's excited for when it comes next year, and it only will be bigger and better. And so I think it's really going to be a fun time for Mark, your group to shine. And we may have to do a little bit different of how we do Tuesdays in the park, or it may go back to the same we were before. But I bet you we do some things that are a lot more fun with it. Maybe they're recorded more and we get to see them if we weren't able to attend. But I think there's going to be a lot of positive coming out of this. And that's one, just how I always look at things. But I think it's also how Healdsburg looks at things.
I would agree 1,000%.
And the passion here is priceless.
It is priceless. It's been great catching up with you. Thank you for all that you do to support the community. It truly is amazing. And we appreciate you spending time with us today.
No, thank you, Mark. And guys, I'll get this video out to folks, and I really appreciate being here. Cheers. We'll sign off.
Thanks a lot, Skip.
Thanks, Healdsburg.